Sweet Jesus, Anthony, look at my hair. I look like a Saint Bernard. I don't really like that either. And now I just look like I'm about to pull off a kickflip. I don't think I can do this. You know what? What you see is what you get. My current bout of social anxiety is too much to get a haircut, so deal with it. Sex Criminals is a comic book that published its first issue in September 2013 and recently wrapped up its run as of October 2020. The holiest of years. It's written by Matt Fraction, awesome Eisner Award-winning artist whose critically acclaimed work includes Hawkeye, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, and creator-owned word Casanova. It's illustrated by Chip Zdarsky, who's written one of the best Spider-Man and Daredevil runs of the past few decades. And despite being Canadian, I'd go as far as to say that he's a national treasure. The series goes on for 30 issues, including an epilogue 69th issue, and it's one of my favorite comic books of all time. By the way, for this video, I'm going to try to keep it pretty spoiler light, as I want you to stick around if you haven't seen it. Although I will be doing what some might consider light spoilers, so if that really is a deal breaker for you, then you can go ahead and go. I'll give you some time. Shoot, it's okay. But just make sure you like and comment and subscribe on your way out. It helps me cry less at night. Now, without ado, further or otherwise, let's get to the initial plot of this book. This is my elevator pitch for Sex Criminals. Oh, this? It's a comic book about a couple that stops time when they have an orgasm. Yeah, there's a ton of nudity in it. But no, it's actually really thoughtful, and it's introspective about like relationships and what it means to, no wait, it's not just a weird I hope you like that bit, because now my chest hurts. And honestly, I don't think that elevator pitch does this book justice, so allow me to go into just a little bit more detail. The story follows Susie, a girl who discovers at a young age that she can stop time when she, well, you know. Okay, fine, when she orgasms, okay? When she climaxes, when she gets to the top of that mountain, let's be adults. I say let's be adults, but I'm definitely gonna have a counter in here that goes up every time I talk about sex or do a stupid double entendre, so. But anyway, whenever Susie climaxes, she stops time, and I don't mean metaphorically, time literally stops, and there's all these colors and shit, and it's actually very pretty and cool. She goes her whole life thinking she's all alone in this until one day she meets the other protagonist of the story, John, who can do the same thing. And for the first time in their lives, they aren't alone. The romance between John and Susie is easily my favorite part of reading this book. It's cute, it's funny, endearing, sincere, and real. The relationship isn't perfect. The book often takes a hard, honest look at what happens when a couple has to deal with struggles, whether it be internal or external. One of those struggles include what happens when the bank is foreclosing on the library she works at. The bank is taking away the thing Susie loves most in the world, and she hates them for it. John also hates the bank because it's the place where his shitty soul-sucking job is at, so upon hearing her plight, John comes up with the idea, hey, the bank is fucking evil, we can stop time, why don't we rob the bank to get the money needed to save the library? And so kicks off the plot of Sex Criminals. It's a philosophical, insightful, metatextual story about having sex and stopping time. And you know what? Yeah, I'd like a second to talk about that. So there's a lot of nudity in this comic, and I'm not just talking about boobies. I'm talking about some of this, some of that, and even some of this. So the Sex and Sex Criminals is not just there to make a catchy title. But this isn't just something you buy to get off. I mean, well, I suppose it could be, and if you do, there's no need to judge, because why stigmatize what people are into? The point is, there's a plot to this thing. Not like an excuse me ma'am, I'm your very unprofessional plumber and you're a terrible housewife plot, but like an actual good plot. So yes, while there is sex in it, I'd say that it's actually secondary to the real thrust of this book, which are things like relationships and insight to what it's like to be a shitty human on this shitty planet and just, you know, growing up and feeling alone. Despite the somewhat otherworldly concept of time-stopping orgasm, Sex Criminals is one of the most human and grounded books I've read in a while. The book looks all over the sexual spectrum: pansexuality, open relationships, asexuality, but it also looks at just relationships in general. There's a lot of introspection to the human psyche, period. I mean, take a look at this one part where Susie describes her feeling alone growing up, thinking she's the only one with this condition. Sure, she's talking about coming and stopping time, but it's a perfect metaphor for just growing up. And when I say growing up, I don't just mean puberty. I think there's something I'd like to call a second coming of age. Everyone goes through it. Becoming an adult means different things to different people. But I'll say I'm 23 years old. Holy shit, adult is not something I feel like I could describe myself as. There's this part where Susie worries that she's pissed away her 20s, and goddamn, that's relatable. There's so many different people can relate to, whether your experience is more typical, like you're a 14-year-old boy and you turn into a horny little toad that can't stop trying to do tricks with his magic wand, or if your wants and experience is different from others, whether it be sexual preferences, the lack of sexual attraction itself, or even just feeling alone in general. You know, it's kind of silly, but there's this one part where this therapist talks about how your brain positively feeds off of aerobic exercise, and that's one of the main things that got me back into exercising. And I know the idea that working out is good for you physically and mentally is not a new concept at all, but hey, I'm a man-child, and sometimes I need life lessons instilled in me through comic books. Which reminds me. The art in this book is awesome. All the characters show a ton of expression, and the elements like the glowy, time-stoppy cum world look amazing. But the best part about this book is that there is an incredible amount of detail. You see, Sex Criminals is a very funny book, and Chip Zdarsky is a very funny man. So a metric shit ton of these pages are filled with an even metricer shit tonner amount of visual gags and Easter eggs, like this sign for a murder motel. And by the way, this issue came out in 2014, or 15, either way it's still funny. Let's take a moment to look at this one scene from the book where they comment in the book about how they couldn't get the rights to Fat Bottom Girls by Queen. And that's a pretty standout moment, but what's less appreciated is the next page, and here's this sign talking about limit on Queen songs and standing on the table. And here's this page from when they visit an art museum, and there's a million more Easter eggs and visual gags, and many of which I can't show you due to the fact that it involves at least one or two cocks. Point is, the art is as excellent as the writing. Please, just go read these books. You don't believe me? Look, here are the words of another reviewer who may or may not be smarter than me. I don't fucking know, I don't know. Adventure in Poor Taste Comics Arbaz Imkan says, more than just a collection of sex jokes, Zdarsky and Fraction have crafted a wonderful series dedicated to the relationships people have with one another in Sex Criminals. It's a beautiful rendering of characters that give us perspective into our own interior lives. Gosh, that's beautiful. Or here's another one from Alec Hunlevong that says, it made my eyes and penis cry. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you actually stuck around to watch this video. But in all seriousness, please give this book a try. Even if you've never read a comic book before, it's sweet, it's sexy, it's brilliant and beautiful. It's gleefully stupid while being so smart at the same time. It's Sex Criminals.